Do you still have family living in the Deerwood, Adele?
Oh, this is risky.
Not these days. Parents left the country years back during the purges. I think about them a lot.
It's a shame you and your family suffered, even after the Saints' War ended. You Deerwoodans certainly have a knack for holding on to old grudges.
Alright, where was I anyways? My volume's also super low. There we go. That sounds better. Alrighty, let's do this thing. Got the manor, got the charred barrel. Where do I go first? Let's check out the manor. Yeah. No idea what's happening here. The labels, all perfectly angled outward, boast an array of fine vintages. However, they're all coated in dust. Steelyx, settle down. Lynette, Raymond. Father never reads to me. He's always busy with his own books. That's sad. Read to your kids, folks. It's great for them. It's great for you. Develops a hell of a bond. Helps them throughout their lives. Just do it.
Nice and quiet. Keeping an eye out.
Yep. The Athasian Prayer. I have read this, I believe. The ledger lists quantities of wheat, copper, and weirwool. A deep crease along the spine suggests the book never closes.
Hail and well met.
Hey, the Lord. Lord Raymond holds a shipping manifest in his well-manicured hands. Despite his expensive clothes, he has the sallow complexion and restless air of a man who devotes all of his days, and most of his nights, to work. If you have business to discuss, make an appointment with my attendant. I don't have time for unexpected visitors. Actually, I've uncovered a plot to rob you. He lowers his papers and looks at you for the first time. Is that so? Let me see that. He scans the parchment with the speed of an expert clerk. When he returns his attention to you, his tone is brisk and businesslike. You've done this house and the city a great service. I'm certain you will consider this an adequate reward for your labors. The letter was signed A.D. Does that mean anything to you? I suspect it means Abrakin Dominel, the scion of House Dominel. A look of disgust crosses his face. A pampered, pandered lad, if there was one. 2,000 copper and a ring of unshackling. Thanks, man. That was appreciated. He's ruthless. I'll give him that much. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the wits to match his appetites. Tell me about House Dominel. They were once an eminent and admired house. Now they're just a den of thieves. Back in the Deerwood's colonial days, the Dominels were respected members of the ducal court, which is why it is so surprising that they remained loyal to Adir during Hadrit's rebellion. When Hadrit and the Deerwood won independence, the Dominels lost their favor, but not their wealth. Rather than return to Adir like the other loyalist houses, they dug their heels in here and turned from politics to commerce. He shrugs. In one way of looking at it, they simply partnered with the wrong side. Not that they haven't prospered since, in their own way. He rubs his jaw. Lately, they've been seeking to carve out a new niche for themselves. One right between the Crucible Knights and the Dozens, it seems. What will you do now? Lord Raymond pinches crisp, sharp creases into the note. Eliminate the competition. So what's so important about this gem? The heart of the White March is a nearly flawless diamond. It's also the patrimony of the dwarves of White March. It was seized by an Adiran lord in the early days of colonization, and the dwarves haven't forgotten it. Now the knights and the Dozens are both bidding for it to make a peace offering to the dwarves. He shrugs. Whichever party buys it, the dwarves will make useful allies for Defiance Bay. Especially these days. Well, cheers, man. I'm not going to rob you yet. Maybe not ever, if I don't ever get access to your stuff.
Keeping an eye out.
I wonder. Can you? Unlikely. Sprigs of dried lavender and rosemary infuse the kitchen with a fresh aroma.
Laying low.
I just noticed the first option. Backhander. Raymont servant. The old serving woman regards you with bleary eyes. Begging your pardon, but I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to return downstairs. Visitors aren't permitted on the upper floor. I'm not gonna smack. I'll go down. That's fine. Not gonna cause any problems yet. Backhander. You good, bud? You good? He's a good boy.
This elder of yours, he may have returned a drunk or an invalid.
Maybe. But the search for Persock is just as important as what I find.
Is that right? And what if you return empty-handed, huh?
I never return empty-handed.
Alright, let's check out the charred barrel. I like listening to their inter-party dialogue. Okay, quite a few of these things popping up. But let's start with Abelhart Scarian.
Well met, friend.
The man is dressed in neat but functional clothes. His sun-wrinkled skin and limber musculature reflect a life spent in the wilderness. Well met. What brings you to the charred barrel? Is this your place? It's my retirement. He thumps the bar. Used to be a warehouse back when Brackenbury saw more ship traffic, but it fell out of use when the area became mostly residential. I inherited it from some great uncle who'd never had any luck pawning it off on my cousins. Now it's the most popular spot in Brackenbury. The nobles come to unwind, and kith from other districts come to mingle. He leans closer. We get a few rough types too, but they behave in here. Besides, the coin's as good as anyone else's. Who are you? I was a cartographer for the Duke for decades. He rubs his neatly stubbled cheek. Crossed the White March half a dozen times and mapped most of the ruins of Thane Bog. He grins, flashing a gold tooth. A good career, but one suited to younger men. When I came back to Defiance Bay for good, Cleaver and a few other friends in the Knights helped me get the rights to refurbish this place. There's strong ale, quality entertainment, and a fresh sea breeze. He raises a mug. What more could a man want? See if he has anything interesting to sell. I fucking love how common dragon is in this town. Ridiculous. Hilarious. How am I on camping supplies? I'm stocked up. Nope, don't want to do that. Let's sell you some stuff. All the things? I'm gonna hold on to Snowcap for now. Why am I holding on to Snowcap? Doesn't matter, I don't need the inventory space. I'm fine. Boy, am I broke, though. Victar. You see a large group of people gathered in the common area of a large inn. This man is standing in the midst of the people, engaged in conversation with someone. He is smiling and talking gregariously, moving from person to person with ease. He is able to extract himself from one conversation and insert himself into another without a break in his stride. He kisses the hand of a well-dressed woman, dipping her, then twirling her back into the arms of her escort. He moves on to another group, slapping someone on the back while laughing at a joke, and then he's off again. Sliding between people, hugging someone, shaking hands, he never stops. Finally, he seems to have hit his limit, and he excuses himself from the gathering, much to the dismay of everyone there. He smiles and waves as he leaves, making a little bow with a flourish of the hand as he closes the door. Once he's away from the inn and around a corner, he pulls several objects from a concealed pocket in his jacket. He looks at each one in turn. A necklace, a brooch, a couple of coin pouches, and a small jewel. Smiling, he pours the money into his palm and quickly counts it, still aimlessly wandering the streets. He passes a beggar who holds out a bowl to him, pleading for a pittance. The man stops, smiles at the beggar, and drops all the coins into his bowl. Then he walks off, whistling happily. What a guy. That was a cool story. I like you, Victor. Hannah Oikos. You see a woman clad in expensive finery. Her eyes flash as she interrogates a trembling wreck on the ground. Reaching into his pocket, her hand curls around an address, and she smiles grimly. Moments later, she is in a bedraggled alleyway, her pace quickening. Her braids trail around a corner, and she is upon them. Or perhaps they are upon her. The action does not last as she easily dispenses of man after man, searching their faces, clothes, shouts, for something she fails to find. Frustrated, she moves on, but not quickly enough as an Orlin attacks her from behind, the seal upon his finger glittering with malice. The woman's eyes alight upon it as she twists to evade his blow, and her eyes burn bright. Perhaps this was not a wasted trip, after all.
Steady does it.
Alright, might as well head down to the basement while I'm over here. The proprietor has collected a respectable variety of bottles from around the world, from tart Adira Reds to sweet summer wines of Roatai. That's not a thief. That's nice. I'll take that. Ripple sponge. Ah, that is a drug. I will take that to sell later. Pale yellow and deep amber whiskies from the Deerwood and the Living Lands rest side by side. Flasks of the infamous Soul Burn of the Deadfire Archipelago are nestled next to crystal clear Nasataki and Glamfellan spirits. Just having a little chat with my associates. Are you now? Each plate and utensil has been polished to a spotless shine. The thin-stemmed goblets ring melodiously at the strike of a fingernail. Thristwin. Oops. The young elf is dressed in gaudy robes that he seems ready to cast off. He picks at a heavily brocaded sleeve and continually adjusts the gold chain around his neck. He looks up at you. Did she send you to run me out of town? You can tell her I'm not going anywhere without that medallion. I told Cyril I wouldn't let her sell it. If that's what you're here about, then save yourself the trouble. He puffs up his chest, but glances at the exit. Luckily for you, today's my day off. I'm just here for a drink. He watches you and hesitates for several seconds. Finally, he gives a nervous chuckle. You had me for a moment. I wouldn't put it past her to send someone like you, though. Cyril's a courtesan over at the Salty Mast and Ondra's Gift. We've been working together for over a year now. I find a noble with more money than sense, fill him up with liquor, and send him her way. They have a good time, and Cyril takes her fee, and a little extra. He rubs his fingers together. 100 coppers here, a trinket there. It's a bounty for us, and these lords and ladies never notice anything missing. No harm done, then. Anyway, we always split the bounty. Until a week ago. He squeezes his lips into a tight frown. She takes a necklace off of some noble. It's an Engwithan medallion, damn near priceless. That relic is sacred to my clan, but she won't part with it for any sum I could afford. He tugs at the gold chain around his neck. And even if I wanted to, I can't go home without it. Sagani's brow furrows in pity. That's a hard thing. Tell me more about your situation. He picks at the hem of his sleeve. What do you want to know? What makes this medallion so important to you? I grew up in Ir Glenfath with the Shattering Spear clan. We Glenfathans have protected Engwithan ruins for thousands of years. It's the one duty the gods ask of us in exchange for the freedom to live as we please. He fidgets with an emerald ring on his pinky. But treasure hunters looted the ruins in our territory, and we left the wilds we dwelled in for generations. Most of my clanmates scattered to towns around the Deerwood and probably live on crusts of bread. He looks at his embroidered robes with disgust. Restoring this medallion to the ruins would earn us the gods' forgiveness. The Shattering Spear could go home. It seemed like you've done well enough for yourself. He clenches his heavily adorned hands. It was this or scrape by in the gutters like the rest of my clan. But I'd give it all for that medallion. I offered to, but it's worth more than anything I've got. And Cyril knows it. Still don't understand why you couldn't take the money and return to Ir Glenfath. He sighs, arching his neatly plucked eyebrows. Of course I could, but I'm not talking about logic and practicality. A community isn't a place, it's a connection to history and meaning. He makes circles with his wrist. Like an anchor. Defending the ruins for the gods gave us a purpose. Without that, we're adrift. Does this make any sense to you? Actually, yes, it does. He smiles and nods slowly. Then you know what it's like. How to care for something you can't explain. Tell me about Cyril. She's a courtesan at the Salty Mast over in Ondra's gift. She wasn't born to much, but she's done what she has to in order to escape that. He gazes at a string of amber beads around his wrist. She was a good friend. He folds his arms in trailing, wrinkled sleeves. Without her, I'd probably be living hand-to-mouth like the rest of the Shattering Spear. But this isn't about her or me. It's about the 40 people in my clan and the way of life we've held to for generations. That's all I wanted to ask. So, will you help me get the medallions? Absolutely. I'll see about getting the medallion from Cyril. Well, you'll find her at the Salty Mast. The only way anyone sees her these days is by paying, so you'll have to go through Maya. He fidgets with his sleeve. But whatever you do, please don't hurt her. You should come in port eventually. I gotta remember what the task was that Maya assigned me so I can get that discount. We'll go from there. The scripts and props belong to a production of The Most Unfortunate Tale of Favia and Bernat. Oh, this is that lady. Okay. Turn my fan on. It's getting warm in here. It was rainy and cold earlier. Merwith watches you through kohl-rimmed eyes. She puts her hand on the hilt of her blade, jangling the jewels that hang from her wrist. We don't know each other, stranger. Best we keep it that way. Why, what brings you to the charred barrel? Merith raises an eyebrow. What's it look like? Good wine and a little peace and quiet. She flips a copper coin with her thumb. And Scarian doesn't ask too many questions. Well, someone at the old lighthouse in Ondra's gift was looking for your ship, actually. I didn't peg you for a liar, at least not from what I've heard. She looks you over, narrowing her eyes. But that don't mean I believe you. She leans in, her voice a low hiss. You'd better explain what gave you such an interesting notion. The last lighthouse keeper watched for your ship every day. It's all in the log. No. Her snarl flashes a gold tooth. She turned me out. We were poorer than the fishermen who live there now, and when she learned I'd put food on our table with stolen coin, she told me that if she ever saw me again, it'd be the mercy of the gods. Her darkened eyes are filled with rage. I had nowhere else to go, and it was a rough life until I rose to captain. Well, she ignored the Adir in advance to stay behind. It sounds like she was waiting for you. She turns her eyes away. She was always so stubborn. I forget sometimes where I got it. She gulps down the rest of her wine. I'll go. Perhaps it will give us both some peace. This map charts routes through the White March. An ixametal water jug fashioned from white clay.
Is the flame real? Steady does it.
The ashtray is painted with colorful waves and whirls in the style of Roatai. This map of the Deerwood in Glenfith appears to predate the discovery of some of the ruins in the east. It's signed by the cartographer A. Skerian. Oh, a few of these guys. Okay, let's start with Ileana. Oh, yeah, let's start with Ileana Reynaud. You see a woman sway, her voice floating gloriously above the court, lilting and sweet. It twists around them and they smile, enraptured, as she palms their hearts one by one. She begs to dance, but something in her step is offbeat. She pauses, confused, a snatch of some foreign sound in the air. Competing, resisting. It takes her a moment to spot him, a small man with a single brow, chanting under his breath, disrupting her song with his staccato incantation. She intensifies the dance, the swing of her hips wider, her feet a flicker above the square tile ground. The underlying chant in her own song more persuasive. His lips twist intently, vibrating with the effort of countering her charm. And then a note. Crystal clear, bright and tinkling. He begins to smile dazedly as her song continues, and he forgets all about resisting. She has won the day, and the court. Classes. You see a pair of chain gloves sitting on a table between two men. The gloves are inlaid with gold runes and glow with a faint blue aura. The man stands on one side of the table, and across from him is another man dressed in arcane robes. The man retrieves a small pouch and hands it to the wizard, telling him to count it to ensure his entire payment is there. The wizard smiles, giving the man a half bow, and then empties the pouch into his hand. You wanted these gloves protected from thieves and other unsavory characters, he says, dropping the coins piece by piece back into the bag. Put them on, and they will never leave you. The man slowly slips his hands into the gloves, a look of satisfaction on his face. His smile falters a little once they're on his hands. The gloves flash briefly and then start making a light metallic tinkling noise. The look of satisfaction quickly becomes one of concern, and he grabs at the gloves, trying to pull them off from his hands. His fingers tug at the openings, but they have shrunk, trapping his hands inside. The metal begins to work its way into his skin, small drops of blood appearing on the surface of the gloves. The man drops to his knees, fighting with them and crying in pain. The gloves constrict until they have completely shrunk around the man's hands, becoming one with the flesh. The man looks in horror at his hands, then up at the wizard, who has finished counting his money and is standing at the door. You certainly won't be losing them now, he says, stepping through the door, slamming it behind him, leaving the man on the floor, staring at his hands. Messed up. Hort de Gest. You see a group of children shouting. Twisted laughter erupted from two small mouths. An eyeless boy, face grown over with strange black tusks, cowers against a log. His small shoulders shake as he whispers to himself, trying to block out the relentless trail of insults. Freak. Monster. Death head. The boy stays long after the other children leave. You see the same eyeless boy, now a man, many years later. Another group crowds him, but this time it is an audience. He tells a long joke about a ghost in a privy, and by the time he reaches the punchline, the crowd is yelling, starting to sound very much like the first. Oh, poor guy. Must be hard being a godlike in this world. Jalistra the Palzerker Strabar. see a dark room. Noise filters in through a nearby doorway. The sounds of battle. Scuffling, metal on metal, cries of pain. Rise and fall as a fight rages outside. There's a bellow of rage and a Zarip runs into the room, holding a book tightly against its chest. It looks around frantically, searching for something. It hurries to the far side of the room and opens a box sitting on a makeshift table. It places the book in the box, closes it, and then bends over to push the box under the table. A small stone hits the back of the Zarip's head, knocking it forward a little. The stone bouncing to the ground, rattling a little as it comes to rest on the floor next to the Zarip's foot. It freezes in place, hands still on the box, eyes wide. As the clattering of the stone quiets, silence takes control of the room again. The battle outside has stopped. It spins around to find this woman standing in the doorway, leaning on a savage-looking two-handed sword. That book contains the answers I need, she snarls at it, moving forward. It hisses, rushing to meet her. Seconds later, she is retrieving the stone from the floor, having separated its head from its neck with a practical flick of the sword. She smiles, kisses the stone, and then places it in a pouch on her belt, patting it fondly. Leaning over, she pulls the box from under the table and opens it, elated with her find. As you near, oh yeah, this is the usual stuff. You see a lush forest, quiet and dark in the early morning light. This woman walks through the trees, a captivated look on her face. She doesn't appear to have a particular destination in mind as she wanders slowly between the enormous trunks, looking up through the branches and occasionally making a low, chirping sound. When a responding chirp echoes through the quiet morning, she turns to head in that direction, obviously not concerned with losing her way. A loud, metallic snap, followed by a quick yelp, cuts through the air and she looks to it, focusing in the direction from which the sound came. She moves toward it on the verge of running. She seems to realize suddenly that caution is important, and freezes, looking down, her foot hovering over the pressure plate on a well-hidden bear trap. Yikes. She leans back and gingerly places her foot back on the ground next to the trap. She looks around, anger darkening her features. Grabbing a nearby branch, she presses down on the plate and disables the trap. When it snaps shut, she hears another yelp, this time much closer. Scanning the ground for more traps, she carefully makes her way toward the trapped animal. Rounding one of the trees, she spies him, a large wolf, bony with malnourishment, right hind leg held tight in the rusty metal teeth. He looks at her and a low growl starts in the back of his throat. His shackles rise, and she pauses briefly to let him catch her scent. She lowers herself closer to the ground and holds her hands out, palms down in front of her. "Aren't you a beautiful boy?" She inches towards the wolf. Can't say I fully understand that one. Ooh. The mortared stone wall is sheltered by the eaves. A naughty green vine climbs all the way up to an open window. Two ornate shutters seem to beckon you in. Ooh. Let's test the vines. You gave the vines a shake. They're thick and sturdy in your hands, but near the top they look flimsier. You might be able to make it to the top if you're quick. I have plenty of grappling hooks. Let's do it. You cast your grappling hook and it catches on the windowsill. The rope remains taut as you put your weight on it. Climb that rope. You perch atop the windowsill and steady yourself against the frame, while the breeze cools your back. You detect movement inside the house. Blinking, as your eyes adjust to the dim interior, you slip inside the manor. That may have been a bad decision. But we're crouched down. Let's see what happens. The Dozens. I believe I've read this. I have read that. The Light of Dawn, a Raid Seren Morality Play, Part 2. Compassion and Judgment. Ah, this one, okay. They walk back to the first location, leaving the starving man behind. They approach the injured man, who lifts his head and winces. A bomb! A salve! Surely you know compassion. Surely you can spare anything, even your time, to help me. The man is injured and cannot help himself. He is certain to die if someone does not apply ointment and bandages to his wounds. Such compassion could mean his life. You owe nothing to this man. Surely his injuries are the judgment of his God. He has been tried and found wanting. His punishment is none of your concern. What will you do? The man weighs his options, then kneels down beside the injured man. He administers ointment in the man's wounds and wraps a bandage around them. Bless you. May the compassion you show to those less fortunate be shown to you all your days. Why did you dress the wounds of the injured? I saw a man who was bent and broken. It is not for me to say he has no right to his health, only to help heal if I am able. I have the time to give, so I give. If I can help in a man's rebirth, it is my duty to do so. Male, aside to female. He knows compassion, even disguised as an injured man. His spirit is willing. Female, aside to male. Even those with a willing spirit can refuse those in need. We will continue our journey. They walk to the center of the stage where the beggar, starving man, and injured man now stand. What say you three? What is the nature of this man's soul? The beggar says, I am charity. I know the mind of one who gives freely. This man was willing to give me his last coin. His mind is righteous. His soul is pure. The starving man says, I am generosity. I know the heart of one who withholds nothing from those in need. This man was willing to give me his last scrap of bread. His heart is giving. His soul is pure. And the injured man says, I am compassion. I know the spirit of one who will sacrifice for the greater good. This man was willing to stay with a stranger and care for him in his time of need. His spirit is merciful. His soul is pure. The male says, What say you, Magrin? Magrin? Oh shit, female. The trial is complete. The judgment has been made. The decision is final. This man has shown charity, generosity, and compassion to those in need. His soul will be reborn. What say you, Aethys? The male says, The judgment is final. The decision has been made. He turns to the man. Be on your way. Your soul's transformation has begun. Welcome the light of the new dawn. They were the gods testing him. That's awesome. I forgot about the new ring. Alright, gain suppress affliction. Ooh. I mean, you're the only person that would benefit it, kind of, at the moment. And someone, probably you, has that. And Aloth, how you doing, buddy? I don't want to go anywhere else, but I will. Get the heck out of here. Ah! Everyone move together. Okay. Whew. Thank goodness for slow mode. It doesn't give me a whole lot of time. Ah, there we go.
Finished.
The heart of the White March is a priceless jewel known for its pale glow and named after the equally famous mountain range it was discovered. Jewels like this were once believed to attract dragons. Okay, I know where it is. I'm not going to take it yet because who knows what that's going to do to the actual story. That might turn out to be very important. Yeah, like I said, I know where it is. That's the important thing. Debating on going into the bedroom there. Part of me wants to. Why was there a sword right there? There's someone in that frickin' bedroom. I'm not going in. Climb down. Alright, a gust of cool air hits your face as you peer out the window. The vine-covered wall beneath you overlooks a cobblestone pavement 2 stories below. A fall from this height could be dangerous. You climb out the window, gripping the rope. You ease yourself down the wall into the safety of the ground. It's too risky, man. Timothy Whitewater. You see this man kneeling naked before a dais in the center of a large round room. Across the room, opposite from where he kneels, stands a large throne. The throne's back and 2 of its legs are broken, rendering it unusable and causing it to tilt precariously on its stand. The room is ringed with figures clad in black robes, each chanting quietly, resulting in a low drone that pervades the room. On the dais, across the brazier, is another robed figure holding a leather-bound book with charred marks on it. He is speaking to the naked man about fealty, dedication, and law. When he finishes, he bids the other to rise and holds the book out to him over the burning coals in the brazier. The naked man nods, and the robed man drops the book into the fire. The naked man drops to one knee, briefly pressing his forehead to the side of the brazier, then stands and thrusts both of his hands into the coals at the bottom of the brazier. He retrieves the book, slowly presenting it to the robed figure before him. The man rubs his thumb on the ash that is collected on the cover of the book, and uses it to draw a mark on the naked man's forehead over the burned flesh. The naked man bows his head and whispers, "Was that right, ah?" The robed man nods patiently. The naked man looks to the broken throne with childlike eyes. "You see that, Mum?" The hell? What does any of that mean? Rocco Francis Whitebrows. You see a burly man inspecting a dilapidated inn. the Awamoa salesman almost dwarfing him as they walk through the once proud establishment. The walls are rife with stains, and only Whale knows what else smeared on every available surface. Not one thing stands unbroken, and moth-eaten blankets, rotting food, and trash give evidence to a succession of squatters. The man frowns, scrutinizing the space. The Awamoa gives him a final offer, flashing 2 white teeth with each syllable. Oversized and threatening, with a sigh and a jingle as he hands over the coin pouch, the man acquires the dump of an inn and begins to plan. There isn't so much as a spot on these oranges. Where's the guy selling the oranges? That's my question. Ooh, that's House Domino. Hadrid House. The marble at the base has been worn smooth by the passage of hundreds of feet. This map shows the environs surrounding Defiance Bay. Flags mark strategic access points to the city. Some of these vintages are even older than Defiance Bay. Whoa. That's pretty wild when you think about it.
Nice and slow.
The scrolls are wedged tightly in the shelves. Each is a name scrawled along the outside. Curran, you have a name. The Orland man is surrounded by books and scrolls. His wiry hair stands nearly on end, and his ears prick up as you approach. You carry whispers. Kaidnua, Gilded Veil. Old voices indeed. How did you know? The Orland grins, revealing a row of dagger-pointed teeth. As a cipher, it's my job to know these things. You carry the whiff of the ancients. What else can you tell me? His ears twitch downward. Not as much as I would like, unfortunately. My duties for Lady Webb require me to focus my talents elsewhere. He regards the table piled with scrolls. What brings you to Dunreed Row? Actually, this affidavit, is it real? It has your signature on it. He holds the page, but seems to stare through the words, as if something woven in the fabric of the paper. Curran bares his pointed teeth. I remember Penhelm. A preening peacock of a man, his mouth dry and hands moist when I told him he was a sole descendant of an Adiran general, one who'd fought against Hadrit's rebellion. Scans the affidavit. A forgery. And not the first I've seen. He hands it back to you. But I have no time for the knights and their obsessions. Bring this to the commander, Cleaver, and show him the seal. He points to the wax stamped by his forged signature. If he compares it with another, he should be able to spot the difference. Aloth's gaze flickers to you. Doom a man for the soul the gods gave him. Seems rather unfair. I need to remember what Penhelm did before I make that decision. Well, it looks as though you could use some help. Curran wags a clawed finger. Not at liberty to discuss my work, unfortunately. Dunreed Row ears only. A civilian would need the confidence of Lady Webb before I could share. Alright, man.
White, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
Either these notes are written in code, or the author's handwriting is atrocious. It's probably me. I was the author. A group of notes speculate about the identity and location of a secret sect in Defiance Bay.
Finished. Finished.
affixed to the wall are leads in a case involving, apparently, a caravan that disappeared en route to New Hiamar. I feel like I'm on that case as well. I could be wrong, though. Alright, let's head upstairs. Try and find this lady web.
Eyes open.
The notes are scribbled in cryptic shorthand. Lady Webb is in charge of Hated House. Be sure to deal with anyone personally. Pictures of all manner of folk are pinned to this board alongside notes scribbled in an indecipherable shorthand. Oh, come on. You got this. I just gotta wait. It's a timing thing. Wrong time. Yep. Okay. Not a timing thing. I just don't think it can be done. Not yet. If Lady Webb wants to see you, she'll send for you. Fair. So I take it I'm not gonna get anything else in this building. Not yet. Absolutely fair. Alright, which one was Penhelm? I wanna look at my journal and remember that. So many quests. Path to Deerford, Heritage Hill, Brackenbury Sanitarium. I'm close to that. Records Archive, which is... I don't have access to that yet. That's ongoing. Radrick's Hold, I believe, is north. I gotta figure that one out still. Time and Tide. Ruins, yep. Yep, ruins. Travel to the cliffs. I have no idea where those are gonna be. Near the ocean somewhere. And... I think I do know where that is. Anne's log something. Compass. Brackenbury Sanitarium. Alright, here we go. Osrich was kicked out of the Crucible Knights by a fellow knight named Penhelm. Worse, his superiors confiscated a breastplate that's been in his family for generations. Osrich has asked me to retrieve a breastplate from Penhelm. He believes his rival might have forged a document from Dunreed Row verifying the purity of his soul. If I can prove Penhelm's forgery, I might have some leverage to get the breastplate back. Ostrich was right. Dunreed Row found that Penhelm shared a soul legacy with a general who opposed Deerwood independence. The Crucible Knights never would have admitted him. The document I have is a fake affidavit created to hide Penhelm's tainted soul legacy. Curran has suggested that his superior officer, Commander Cleaver, can have him okay, understood. Brackenbury Sanitarium, again. Gotta find a Ghosty at the Valian Embassy. Dominel Manor in Brackenbury. Trying to figure out where I'm going. What I'm doing. Oh, hello, Penhelm. Whose face is white. Just talked to that little cipher, did you? One of my novitiates told me he'd seen someone in the records room. He takes a slow step toward you, extending his hand. Give me the affidavit. I've done nothing to you. His other hand comes to rest next to his sword. Your superiors deserve to know the truth. What truth? That over a century ago I was some Adiran who's dust in the ground now? His hand grips the sword pommel. I'll ask you one more time. Give that back. Don't be a fool. We're in public. He looks at the novitiates with him, which is why everyone will be shocked to hear that you assaulted a company of Crucible Knights without provocation, including one with such a spotless record as mine. Oh, you're gonna die, dude. You picked a fight. That was stupid. That's your own damn fault. Whoa, buddy. You good, Steely boy? Aloud is gonna get destroyed right here. Hee Oh, I didn't think of that earlier. Could have solved me a lot of problems in a lot of my fights. This bold breastplate has its share of battle scars, but it's clearly been well preserved over the years, and still bears some of its original shine. The symbol of a flame is emblazoned across its middle. Where does that go? I forgot where Ostris was. Well, that was entirely on you. I don't feel guilty at all. The marble is cool and perfectly smooth. Droplets of crystal clear water bead the statues.
Hail, traveler.
Naden. A woman stands in the shade of the garden, muttering to herself. She's fixated on the pages of a large and well-worn tome, seemingly oblivious to the blooming flowers and the cool, fragrant breeze. She only looks up when your shadow crosses her page. Do you mind? I'm rather busy. Are you the animancer who's been buying relics from a medal? I don't know who you're talking about, but I work with theories, not rocks and potsherds. Anything else? What are you so busy with? She snaps her book shut. I'm studying soul attachment. We all know that souls move on into people at birth and out of them at death, but we still have a lot of questions about what makes them stick, so to speak. What do you mean about making them stick? She brushes a stray lock from her forehead. Souls power bodies and give their tissues life, but only when they're firmly attached. It's separation that leads to a whole spate of soul-related ailments, including the Hollowborn. But if we understood how to reattach souls, we could end Widewind's legacy, maybe even conquer death. She scratches behind her ear. That's the theory, anyway. Unfortunately, I don't have all of the research I need to put it into practice. What exactly do you need? There's a manuscript called The Theorems of Pangram. It contains research from Pangram's experiments on detached souls. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rumored to have a copy in the Elder Archives. I have heard of this book, back in Salona, I think, but never seen it. Many animancers speak of it with awe. The theorems could advance my research by leaps and bounds, but Grimda, the High Archivist, worships Whale, which means she has some paradoxical views on sharing and restricting knowledge. And since she's not exactly a proponent of animancy, she tends to restrict the kinds of information that would be useful to me. Maybe she could be persuaded. You're welcome to try, but you wouldn't be the first. She sighs, looking at me, spilling my troubles. It's kind of you to listen, but I really should get back to my work. Well, hold on, I have some questions about the theorems. Such as, tell me more. Pangram was an animancer working in the Deerwood. He had some interesting theories about essence and some rather innovative techniques for studying it. He was able to reattach souls to bodies after death, although he wasn't able to prevent his patients from degenerating. He was controversial, to say the least, but many are starting to realize that he was merely ahead of his time. What do you mean by degenerating? Naden twists her hands together. Well, there seems to be a tiny problem with reattaching souls after death. The bodies will reanimate and may even retain memories and personality, but they develop a hunger for flesh. Living, soul-infused flesh. Without it, they start to devolve, decaying mentally and physically. If the process goes too far, which it eventually does, they become mindless corpses attacking anything that moves. We haven't figured out a way to avoid that. And you wonder why Grimda doesn't share this research with you. That sounds like necromancy. Nonsense. Necromancy is magic. This is science. She emphasizes the last word. Why doesn't Grimda lend you the books you need? The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rather protective of its books, especially the rarer ones, and Grimda in particular. She hates animancy, thinks it's dangerous. I don't see how you can run the greatest library in the Deerwood and be so adverse to the spread of knowledge and research, but I've never understood these religious types. Aloth scowls at the animancer. Some knowledge is best kept under lock and key. Tell me more about the Hall of Revealed Mysteries. You'll find it in the Copperlane district. It's dedicated to the god of secrets and revelations. Most importantly, it houses the largest and most expansive library in the Deerwood. Yeah, but what are the Elder Archives? The Elder Archives hold the rarest, most arcane, and most powerful text in the Deerwood. Think of it as the inner sanctum of the Hall of Revealed Mysteries. Needless to say, you need Grimda's permission to enter. Go on, pup. Good boy. That's all. Anything else? Want to tell me a little bit about yourself? I'm an animancer in the sanitarium. Currently, I'm researching matters related to Wadewin's legacy. Thank you for that. Alright, a part of me wants to go and get this done before I do anything else, but I won't. When I say get this done, I'm referring to the breastplate issue, because I forgot who Ostrich is, and I want to figure that out. But let's go here, because there's like 3 quests involved at the sanitarium.
Steady does it.
Ah, this one. I've entered Brackenbury Sanitarium. According to Helig, Modred keeps everything of value in a trunk in his laboratory. He's giving me a key to open it. The table is set with an assortment of leaflets and booklets with titles like Practical Benefits of Animancy and Soul Adjustment for the Well-Adjusted Soul. Nastatak Poetry, a compilation. The Expedition. I move. There is no compulsion. It is not a need. But something pulls. I cannot deny its draw. The white wends out past my vision. Its fierce eyes watch me as I move. The wolf tracks my step. A silent companion who who will not join. All is blank. The pale expanse lies before and behind. I search. The miles pass and still my feet move. My hunt continues unabated. The landscape returns my gaze unaffected by my presence. The snow falls, needles driven by the wind. Its cold teeth bite my skin. The snow gathers, its hands around my feet, a fierce opponent who will not relent. All is white. My journey continues. I travel. I can no longer stop. A true compulsion forms. The need drives me on. I must see. The sun breaks through the gray. Its unrelenting gaze thaws me. My body warms under its touch. Frigid limbs move again and carry me further. All is empty. The breadth of existence is my destination. The most unfortunate tale of Favia and Bernat, a Valiant tragedy, I believe. Yes. There's like 3 of them. They end up killing each other or themselves. Verna. You sense a strange divide in this woman's soul, an unnatural boundary between 2 opposed wills. You see the woman pausing by a roadside to hand something to the driver of a stopped wagon. These herbs should help with his party sickness, she tells him. He can find more along the road, easy to spot with their serrated leaves, but avoid the ones with the green berries. It's a different species. Toxic. He thanks her and offers her coin, but she waves him off, explaining that she is merely doing what her order asks of her. He nods, and she heads off down the road as he begins to hungrily consume the herb. You see the woman searching alongside the road now, the wagon just up the path, and you realize you have skipped backward in her memory. She sets eyes on a plant with serrated leaves and green berries. She picks several handfuls, tearing the berries off one by one and tossing them to the ground. She nudges them off the path into the brush quickly with her boot, without looking down, as if to hide them from her own sight, before striding back toward the wagon, hands outstretched. Terrible. Maybe he deserves it, though. We don't know. Head Warden Ethelmore. A well-maintained statue of a middle-aged man presides over the room, looking down unblinking over the bustle of harried academics pestered by the hopeful desperate. A strong warmth emanates from it that you could sense from across the room. There is a human soul stored beneath the stonework. You feel his attention turned towards you. It has been some time since a watcher graced these halls. His voice echoes deeply, rumbling the floor beneath you. I am envious of your natural insights, traveler. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work and life. Now what is it that has brought you to my sanitarium? You may have a member of the Leaden Key in your midst. Ethelmore groans, and the stone around him shudders. I could have done without hearing that today. Hey, twitchy boy. What's going on there? Many have their intrusions been into our affairs. Of course, one can seldom be certain whether they've meddled or whether calamity has struck on its own. But a few of their less skilled infiltrators have been exposed from time to time. They are a perpetual nuisance. Once again, I am reminded of how envious I am of your gifts. I suspect they would be some use in verifying one's identity. You are at odds with the Leaden Key as well, I take it? They're up to something, and I'm trying to determine what. They are always up to something. Of that you may rest assured. If their plots have come to involve you, you have my sympathies. You have some idea of who this person might be. It would be unwise to consider anyone above suspicion. Very well. In that case, I would recommend you speak first with our resident animancers. They have frequent interactions with both patients and colleagues. You'll find them up here or in their offices downstairs. You will report anything suspicious to me immediately. This is my only request. Very well. I'm looking for an animancer called Modred. Modred, of course. You will find him downstairs, in the first room on the right. Tell me more about the sanitarium. A history lesson. This is a rare pleasure. Most come in here only concerned with cheating death in one way or another. We are an old institution as Deerwood goes. This is our 94th year. As with many cities, the growth of Defiance Bay brought with it a host of problems. One of the worst was that those born with, shall we say, ill-favored souls came to populate its streets in droves. Thus, the sanitarium. Brackenbury was a natural fit. It was growing, but there was also a lot of money here back then. This place owes its survival to the curiosities of the wealthy more than anything, I think. Our founding came at a time of great suspicion and animancy, much like today. So much progress has been lost to the mishaps of a few careless practitioners. But in time, it was forgotten, as all things are. Since then, we have been at the forefront of animancy's resurgence. We have played host to many gifted researchers and pushed the boundaries of our knowledge in ways never thought possible. Some of the first safe transferences were done here, and we have pioneered work in soul purification, lineage analysis, preservation. It's really quite a list, if you'll pardon my pride. Today, it's, well, I can't say it's exactly the same. There's been some push to shut us down. It comes from Deerwood's more excitable denizens, whose minds are more passionate than thoughtful, I'm afraid. People see this legacy, and they see it involves something they don't understand. So it's natural for them to suspect people whose understanding exceeds theirs. It looks to them like we're hiding something. We have a representative in the palace this very moment, defending the entire science of animancy at a hearing before the Duke, absurd as it sounds. If it does not go well, it could be the end of animancy in Deerwood. I fear Avar may be swayed by all this unrest, irrational though it may be. We shall see. Does anyone here know anything about awakenings? There's an animancer on the lower floor who came all the way from Ravua to study them. Take the stairs down and look for Belisage. I'm curious to know how you've come to be in your present state. In the statue, you mean? Well, I was old, and it seemed wrong to me. A lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery, only to lose it all in death. Somewhere, someday, I would wake up in a new body, none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely. All that experience wasted. If we are ever to unearth the principles behind our existence, it will be in spite of our condition. Of that I'm quite sure. To live on as a part of something I helped build seemed to me a better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple as our techniques go, and for that I am grateful. Playing with souls is far easier to accept when they are not your own. I do miss being able to take an active role in the scholarly efforts here. Now and again one of our animancers will humor me and consult over some problem, but they are a jealous breed and are too often afraid to collaborate. If you are considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for the easily bored. I'm assuming he's not the right animancer, so I'm not even going to ask. What your soul may be trying to tell you. Animancy in the modern age. Animancy is a science both respected and reviled, sometimes by the same person. For all the research done on the topic, we still know so little. Control over life itself, something animancers have been working toward for hundreds of years. There are no real records of how the practice of animancy was first discovered, but once the spark of knowledge ignited, there was no stopping its inevitable discoveries. In 2260, animancers, as a result of their extensive research, successfully contained and transferred a soul. Easy, buddy. I gotta tighten that up, apparently. Or maybe you're just crazy. Subject of the experiment, whose name is unknown, was young and wealthy, but infirm. The idea was to move his soul from the dying body and into that of a recently deceased man who had suffered an accident. The new body, bearing only slight decay, would house the soul, giving the man a much better life. The outcome of this experiment resulted in the condemnation and outlaw of animancy in the Adiran Empire. Again, while we have no true records of what happened, as they were all destroyed after animancy was outlawed, a journal was discovered, a makeshift confession by one of the participants. Excerpts from that journal follow. 2260, Von Prima 16. It is done, and the gods forgive us for our arrogance. I am not sure what I was expecting. Certainly not that. But what did any of us expect? Still, behind the revulsion there is a sense of pride, something I can't deny. All the research, the studying, everything we worked for. We thought we'd change the world. How it's changed. All was in place, the twisted form lying on the table next to its new vessel. The equipment had been prepared. The tinctures and potions all carefully crafted. Every detail painstakingly organized to ensure success. We most assuredly succeeded. The procedure went exactly as it should. The soul, extracted from the old body, held, bound in place to prevent it from moving on. Then the next step, transfer to the fresh vessel. It was beautiful and terrifying. I listened as they spoke the words of binding. I watched the soul move. Not the soul itself, of course, but the vapor we used to detect it, as it lowered into the vessel. A gentle luminescence covered the body, and then nothing. Silence. Darkness. I held my breath, afraid that even the slightest disturbance would destroy all our hard work. Then motion. Then, dear gods, blood. How did I survive? I don't know. The vessel rose from the slab and the room breathed. Every person crowded around the tables exhaled. Some cheered. We had made life from death. We had become eternal. The body closed its eyes and tilted its head, looking for all purposes to be listening for something, or to it. Then its eyes popped open and it moved. Its lips peeled back from its teeth in a horrible expression of fury. It fell on the nearest man, tearing his throat, knocking him to the ground. Then the room erupted into screams, shouts, and a flurry of bodies, running, pushing, doing everything in their power to get away from the creature sitting on their colleague. But right before that happened, in the split second before the chaos, when there was nothing in the air but a stunned, terrified silence, I heard it, sitting there on his chest, face at his neck. And it was feasting. Jesus. Have read that one. Psalm to Ortica. Read that one. Yarmid. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contain. You see a dark room with garish furnishings. A large bed covered with pillows, several couches, and expensive rugs. This man is sitting in a chair pushed against the wall of the room opposite the door. He is dressed in dark clothes, with a black cloak wrapped around his shoulders, its hood pulled close around his face. Shadows fall across him, the darkness rendering him virtually invisible. 2 other men wait in the darkness with him, watching the door. All 3 are motionless. Noise from the crowded common room below echoes up through the floorboards. The handle rattles. A man staggers in, dragging a young woman with him. The 2 standing men exchange a quick glance, one of them tilting his head and shrugging only slightly before jumping to the task at hand. One steps forward, grabbing the girl's wrist, wrenching it from her escort's hold with one hand, while pushing the door closed with the other. Then that hand is over the girl's mouth before she is even aware she's in someone else's arms. He takes a dagger from its place on his belt and draws it across her neck. He holds her still, waiting for the struggles to stop. The other standing man has already subdued their target, now tied to a chair, arms and legs bound with a rag stuffed in his mouth. The girl, no longer moving, is placed under the bed, the man who dealt with her taking his place beside the other. They stare down at the man screaming against the cloth, but the muffled sound is unheard over the raucous noise of the crowd below. One of the men begins murmuring softly, putting his hand under the chin of the man in the chair. There's a brief flash of light, and the man stops struggling, a suddenly placid look in his eyes. The 2 captors ask various questions that the bound man answers happily. After they finish, the 2 look to the man sitting against the wall. He has not moved as the events transpired before him, but only sat, silently observing everything as it happened. He He stands holding the cloak closely around himself and nods to the two men. He then walks to the door, opens it only far enough to allow himself to exit, and leaves them to finish their task. Jesus. That one was dark and fucked up. These look like field sketches of Angwithin ruins and artifacts.
How do you do?
Oop, hey, Nans. An elderly woman peruses the shelves with a quickness and an energy that belie her age. I'm afraid I don't practice anymore, child. Too busy with my research. Actually, I'm investigating possible lead and key activity in the sanitarium. Have you seen anything suspicious? Oh, I'm afraid I'm too wrapped up in my own research to pay any mind to what else is going on around here. One of the other animancers might know something, though. Nans regards you with bright, intelligent eyes. Can I help you with something else? What is it that you do here? I'm an animancer. Used to venture on all kinds of underfunded and ill-fated trips out of the expedition hall when I was your age, but lately I've found research better suited to my current pace. She pats a creaking knee and laughs. What do you know about awakenings? Not much, I'm afraid, but the sanitarium attracts experts from all over. I'm sure someone here can help you out. Alright, well, Imadel actually sent me. He said you'd be interested in these scepter pieces we found. That chatty old fishwife's been blabbing about me, I see. She laughs and rolls her eyes. Never trust your secrets to a man with so much salt in his beard. Anyway, let's see what you've got. Nans examines the scepter, her eyes hooded by crinkled flesh. Imadel told you true. I'll buy this. Unfortunately, a broken scepter isn't as valuable as he may have led you to believe. She steals a glance at your face, but her fingers tighten around the piece in her hands. I'll take it off you for 500. Nonsense. This could easily be repaired by someone with the proper skills. Her eyes flash under their sagging lids. I've got the skills, all right. And you know more than the average relic hunter, I see. Making it whole again is a matter of alchemy. Expensive alchemy. I've got to soak the broken ends in a fiend's blood compound to reconnect them. Never mind the embalming work to restore the enchantments. She eyes you. I could do it to the tune of 1,800 pans. Ooh. Now she's offering to fix it for me? So first she wanted to buy it from me for 500. And now she wants me to pay her to fix it? That's a tough one, man. It's a mace. It's probably not worth it for me. But maybe it is. Screw it. Let's see what happens. Put the scepter back together. I expect you'll want to watch and see that your money's put to good use. Better get comfortable then. She lays out an array of powders, potions, and other obscure ingredients on her desk. After what feels like hours, she returns to the main hall with you and presents the scepter. Looking at it, you'd never know it had been broken in the first place. This may be the finest work I've ever done, if I may say so. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. Examining a piece like that is a dream come true for someone in my field. She gazes at it wistfully. Take good care of it. Alright. That better have been worth it. Nope. Great. Oh, gosh. Well, it is fast, I guess. That is something. Crush slash. Plus 4 accuracy. 20% attack speed. What do you got? You have Pierce Crush. You have Pierce Crush. You have Pierce Crush. Alright, so one of you guys is using this. Let's give it to you. feel like that was not really worth 1800, but alright. Adira Customs, I have read that. Actually, you know what? What's it worth? Not that I'm going to sell it, I'm just for comparison purposes. Within weapon is restored from fragments found in Ondra's gift. The shaft is covered with invocations and the value 1005. You son of a biscuit. What enchantment requirement not met? What does that mean? Okay. Look at the oops. Of all these things. Proofing. That's cool. And then quality. Alright. Check out my stronghold real quick. Just because I'm in the mood to poke around with my inventory stuff. 3 days, 13 hours. Table is set with an assortment of leaflets and booklets with titles like Practical Benefits of Animancy and Soul Adjustments of the Well-Adjusted Soul. Saint Widewin, Farmer Become God. I have read that. Alright. Wasn't as much going on up here as I thought there would be. The painting of a rolling forest glen has strangely soothing effect. Let's head into the basement. What time is it? Alright, I got about an hour and a half left. Might not even spend that long. We'll see. Oh, this place is big. Okay. The strange device seems to thrum with power.
Hail, traveler.
You. A woman paces back and forth, her feet crunching on the soft red carpet. She gestures and mumbles to herself, shaking her head as she pores over pages of notes. She almost walks into you. Ekosi, here I am, looking so hard for answers in my research that I do not see the kith standing in front of me. What can I do? Have you noticed anything unusual or suspicious here lately? It is rare for me to notice things that do not relate to my work, even when they are in front of me. Sientere amico, but I am not the best choice to help you with that. I'm looking for an expert on awakenings. She laughs bitterly. Ah, that would be me, though the lack of research subjects has made me more of an expert in counting floorboards. I would like to transfer Animancy's success in buttressing pre-awakened souls to soothing those souls who have already awakened. But I need subjects, and most of the patients here are too broken to produce reliable results. It is a tragedy to have come so far for nothing. Well, you're in luck. I have a volunteer. She springs to the balls of her feet, beaming. Gallarde, who is it? Alos's lips curl into a frown. I don't know about this. She grins more broadly still. Don't be silly. The process is perfectly harmless. All you must do is stand in that cage. I beg your pardon? I jest. You Adirans are so uptight. I do not even know what the thing is used for. It belonged to the last occupant of this office, I think. Now they upgrade him to a cell. Again, I jest. She rubs her hands together, getting down to business. So, I need you to sit here. She takes Aloth by the shoulders and steers him to the couch. And try to relax, but don't try too hard. Then you will not be relaxing. Indeed. His eyes are humorless. And you must also wear these. A little cold, but the copper will help conduct your essence. The Animancer fastens thick copper bands to Aloth's forehead and wrists. As she ratchets them together, his face twitches with suppressed irritation. Now, I will examine your soul through my scope. She reaches into her desk and produces a long, chambered tube. Knobs, dials, and small-toothed wheels run along the side of the device. It is fitted with Ondra lenses cut to different thicknesses and concavities. By manipulating them, I find the angles and densities that will allow me to track the anomalies in your soul. Does this mean we'll get to talk to Isilmir more? I like that lady. She raises a finger. But first, we must find this cunning interloper. You will answer some personal questions while I make adjustments. Sagani pats his arm. Don't worry, I'm sure we won't hear any of it. Aloth squirms on the couch. Very well. She holds the scope to her eye and flicks a knob. To begin, tell me something personal. Something from a time before your awakening. There's nothing to tell. I was just a normal child living in the Seathwood. He looks to you. His face is set in a frown, but the rigid edges of apprehension show through nevertheless. Talk about your parents. As you speak to Aloth, you feel your voice like a bell in your chest. It tolls softly, luring him into the mists of his own memory. Belisage doesn't seem to notice anything, but you feel as if your words are smoothing his essence, untangling its many threads. He closes his eyes. Mother is away most of the time, with the Thanes family, but I always know when she is coming home. Father's bottles accumulate like storm clouds on the horizon, his fits of temper becoming swifter and more violent. It still shames him, knowing that her hamneg to another man supports us better than his labors as a steward. This is good. I am starting to see something. Continue. Tell us about the time you awakened. She bites her tongue as she twists one of the dials. I am in my 5th year of training. Mother is home. I can let my guard down a little because when she is around, he is usually only angry with her. But he has heard that I have had trouble casting missiles, that my flame shields are unstable. He is furious that I have failed, and Mother's presence reminds him that he has failed too. The first blow takes me by surprise. One moment I am sweeping the kitchen, the next I am sprawled on the ground, stupidly looking at flecks of my blood on the tile. His boots, glistening with fresh polish, thud across the floor. He kicks me in the stomach, and I curl up to shield my vitals. But it's pointless. Protecting one thing only leaves something else exposed. Still huddled on the ground, I retreat as fast as I can. I retreat until the vision of the kitchen, and my own trembling knees is nothing but a pinprick against a field of black. His jaw locks, and his eyes twitch beneath their lids. Medico. Belisage furiously cranks the knobs along her scope. He's hypnotized himself with this old memory. You've got to bring him out of it. Quickly! I almost have it. Squeeze Aloth's hand. You're safe. Everything's fine. Aloth's eyes snap open, but the expression you see in them isn't his. He is near safe when I hap upon him. Belisage sucks a deep breath through her teeth. That's it. I'm seeing a shift in his essence. Something spreading and congealing. She glances at you over her scope. Keep talking. He seems to respond to you. What brought you here? Creaking bones and voices high in ire. What warm molasses feeling that creeps down your gut when crisis is nigh. That's different. Belfedo, we have flares of a totally distinct essence. She jots shorthand notes onto the pages next to her, and turns one clicking knob of her scope. Now try to get the two of them talking. Aloth, ask Selmir what she's doing. Aloth's face twists in fury. Sticking weed. Worming parasite. He bursts into sudden laughter. You'd say the same to your own kindled twig when it betrays ye. Eder grins. Must be hard to avoid knowing there's a lady in your body the whole time judging you. Good, yes, very good. She rests from her scribbling only to make another adjustment to her scope. I can now see two separate patterns of essence. Where he ebbs, the other flows. It's as if the awakened soul fills the spaces that he leaves empty. She prompts you with a circling of her wrist, quite quill still in hand. Go on. Aloth, what's this about ceding space to Isilmir? He grits his teeth painfully. I've given her nothing. She usurps me in my own body. Aye, and I lend him a pair, too. You should ask what I did to that old man of his. How the last time he laid a hand on us, I break it in 3 places. Aloth's head jerks to the side. That wasn't your decision. It's never been your decision. And I was awakening, but now I'm stuck with ye, and damned if I let your ninnying drag us both through the scupper. Ah, very good. She lowers her scope and consults her notes. I think I finally got something we can work with. I've tracked Selmir's essence throughout the exchange. She had a particularly high density index during the most heated portions of their argument, and her essence seemed to be localized most clearly in the lower portion of the subject's left ribcage. That's right around the spleen, which of course means that she is triggered by black bile. No doubt the subject's characteristic melancholy is to blame. Aloth blinks back at you, and in the midst of his perturbation, you're not quite sure who's looking out of his eyes. That's utter horseshit. How gracious. She glares at him. Yes, never mind my years of training. I suppose you have a better explanation. Oh, you're close. I think Isilmir's appearances are related to potential sources of trouble for Aloth. Belisage carefully scratches her jaw, her gaze darting between you and Aloth. I suppose that could be true. She jots another note. I'll have to check this against other research. He removes the copper bands. Well and good for you, but what does this mean for me? Belisage frowns at her notes, tapping her cheek with a quill and making a grand show of concentration. However, you catch her stealing a glance at you over the pages. It seems that Selmir steps in when she determines that you're in danger. It's not clear yet whether this is a help or hindrance. From my position, I'd say it's pretty clearly a hindrance. I've got a lot to process. Regardless, thank you for your help, Davos. He does not look at Belisage. She sets her notes on her desk and returns to her scope. Well, I hope this has been as useful to you as it has been to me. I finally have material worth publishing. You'll be the toast of Revua, Fentrealoth. His grimace melts into a crooked smile. Aye, advancing the rightwise principles of animancy. Just what you've always wanted. As you turn to leave, you catch a darting movement out of the corner of your eye. Belisage is humming to herself, still occupied with her scope, but Aloth is holding her notes. He's just about to tuck them into his cloak when he catches you watching. He holds a finger to his lips, his eyes wide and imploring. Please, I don't want my personal information published like this, especially not after her nonsense. Fair enough, but do it quietly. He hides the papers in his cloak. Not to worry. We'll see to this on our own. Bum bum bum. Unexpected results. The canine host was listless and unresponsive, but it was determined that this was simply the implanted feline soul. Yarn resulted in vigorous stimulation. What the heck? Hey, Modred. An animancer scribbles feverishly on a parchment scroll while his free hand dances through the air, counting off unseen objects. His lips move in silent discourse. As your shadow falls over his scroll, he looks up at you with mingled perplexity and irritation. Can I help you? He forces a polite smile. Has anything unusual been happening around here? You must be joking. This is the sanitarium. Nothing is usual down here. He pauses. Although, now that I think of it, the patients seem more agitated lately. But they're Caedmon. Azo's responsibility, not mine. Modred nods, taking a deep breath. Then, if there's nothing else, what are you working on? My area of focus is wights. More specifically, how to cure them. What's a wight? A Hullowborn who received a transplanted animal soul during infancy. One of Animancy's early efforts to cure the legacy, if not a successful one. He removes his spectacles and wipes his brow. They show signs of developmental abnormalities throughout their childhood, but when they reach adolescence, they become aggressive, feral, but still victims in need of care. Transplanting animal souls into children seems like an odd solution. We Animancers were trying to do something about the crisis, better than letting it swallow a generation of children. He stares at a fixed point on the far wall, and despite the controversy, it only went so far because, at first, it seemed to work. People called it the salvation. Children that had never been responsive to any kind of stimuli suddenly seemed aware of their surroundings, of their families. He takes a slow breath. Complications don't begin until puberty, but that's when the incompatibilities between body and soul take shape. Children become violent and ravenous. But we paid dearly for our mistake, I promise you. Angry mobs hunted down Animancers and burned down their homes, with them still inside, often as not. People took to calling it the cruel salvation, and many still loathe us for it. But we wanted to stop the legacy as much as anyone. The public begged for our help, and we did the best we could. I still don't know if that absolves us. So why do you study Wykes? He huffs. What kind of question is that? Just think of all the families that could be healed, the lives that could be restored. What could be more important? His face is reddened, and he turns away from you for a moment. He shakes his head. Animancy is an answer here. I know it. It's simply a matter of working it out. I see. Good. He looks eager to return to his work. Does the name Helig mean anything to you? Modred starts. Helig? He is, a colleague of mine. He was primarily a necromancer, but he was involved in animancy too. He worked at the sanitarium for several years. I dare say everyone here has heard of him. He clears his throat. He left his post recently. I believe he was seeking new opportunities in the Valian republics. He leans forward. The advances they're making in animancy really are quite remarkable. Surely you've heard. He coughs again. Perhaps you haven't. Do you know a woman named Rowena? No. I don't get out of the sanitarium much. About Helig. As I said, he no longer works here. He slides his spectacles down his nose. Just what are you insinuating? If this is your idea of a joke, I assure you it's in very poor taste. So you didn't sink a blade into his chest and dump him in the catacombs? He'll be relieved to hear it. How could... He sighs and runs a hand over his hair. Very well, yes, I killed him. I killed that beast because nobody else had the spine for it. He was a madman. Years of perverse experiments, twisting healthy souls, torturing damaged souls. And for what? He flayed the essence from Glanfithan indigents with for his amusement. He waves down the hall. If the public had known half of his deeds, they'd have razed this place to the ground. He jabs his finger on the desk. He used the sanitarium to disguise his own sick proclivities. He brought shame on all of us and put the entire discipline at risk. I regret nothing. He calms down and sizes you up. Anyway, now you know the whole grisly story. Hardly brave, stabbing a man in his sleep. Brave enough for my tastes. I heard a rumor he once laid a 50-man squad to rest on his own. At least I did something. Helig said you stole a grimoire from him. Modred's brow furrows. His grimoire? What's that madman been telling you? I'm not in the mood for games, Modred. Hand it over. Modred spreads his hands. I'm not a wizard, and I want nothing to do with this detestable research. What use would I have for it? If I know Helig, this is his idea of a joke. Probably not one you or I would appreciate. If anything I've told you about him has sunk in, I beg you, return to the catacombs and slay him once and for all. That foul man will cause misery and pain as long as he's around. He has something I need. I don't know what he's promised you, but he's already lied to you about the grimoire. I don't have it. If what I've told you about that evil, deceitful man hasn't swayed you, I don't know what else to say. Turns back to his papers. Trust him at your own peril.
Good day, stranger.
I'm not done with you. Helig's soul returned to his corpse through sinister magic. He wants revenge. No doubt, he spreads his hands wide. But now you understand why I killed him. Why someone had to. If he sent you, I only hope I can convince you to return to slay him once and for all. Perhaps I'll be going. I must return to my work. I wish you well. He returns back to his papers. Crap. Okay. In a corner of Modred's lab rests a large, weathered trunk. It seems likely to contain something important, if only by virtue of its size. Let's examine the trunk. The lack of dust on the trunk's surface and the long scratches in the tile flooring suggest the trunk is frequently used and moved throughout the laboratory despite its considerable size. Deep yet narrow gouges score the wood at the edges of the trunk. They look like claw marks. Why is my dog barking? Let's unlock the trunk. You take the key you acquired from Helig and place it in the lock. It fits perfectly and turns with a solid clunk. The trunk holds no grimoires or treasures. Instead, you find yourself staring into the feral gaze and toothy maw of a twisted, monstrous creature. Its humanoid form has been overwhelmed by bony angles and terrible claws. Holy shit. With the start, you recognize the vague shape of a young girl beneath the elongated, malformed bones and grayish skin. It growls and leaps from the trunk, not toward you, but toward Modred. Modred has no time to scream before his throat is torn out. Oh, Helig, you dick. Damn it. I do feel bad. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Hail, traveler.
A young Orlan woman traces her fingers along the spines of the books in front of her. Row by... There you go. Row by row, her motions quick and skittish, like a bird's. She does not notice you until you are nearly upon her. Oh my! You startled me. Are you supposed to be in here? I'm investigating suspicious activity in the sanitarium. Oh, I'm just Master Azo's assistant. He'd know more about that. But he's in the middle of an busy with some patients. You won't be able to see him until he comes out from the patient ward. If there's nothing else, I need to get back to work. Is Azo busy with patients, or is he running some sort of experiment? Look, I'm just an assistant. It's not my place to gossip. I'm sorry. How do I get into the patient ward? Only Master Azo has access. I guess Head Warden Ethelmore does too, but he's, a statue now. What do you do here? I mostly help Master Azo set up and clean his equipment. I also keep his office organized since he's too busy to do it himself.
Ogren's fire. cast light in dark places.
Finished.
Nice. Alright, cool. Oh boy. Alright, let's just start here, I guess. North Ward patient record. I forgot how to pronounce that. I think it's Ushgrim. Subject is a male, approximately 17 years of age. Admitted for episodes of catatonia followed by occasional violent outbursts. Initial analysis of soul revealed severe fragmentation and essence deficiency. Said deficiency all but eliminates the possibility of utilizing the subject in present research. These are quest items. The Midnight Man. Subject is male, mid-20s, displays acute disassociation and paranoid delusional tendencies causing anger and extreme violence. Dangers of working with the subject preclude possibility of further use in present research. Graham. Subject is a male, approximately early 30s. Powers of speech absent, presumably as a result of the over-fragmentation of his soul. As such, he is the ideal subject for present research. However, experimentation has caused severe pain and induced panic, and I have had to enlist the aid of the guards in transporting him for more recent procedures. The Pale Lady. What is that from? The Pale Lady. Scary stories to tell in the dark. Subject is female, mid-40s. Awakened to a past life as a serial murderer, which now frequently emerges as the soul's dominant personality. Subject vacillates between violence and severe depression, resulting from guilt of past deeds. Weak candidate for present research. Note from Azo. Ripley, I require more copper tubing for my next experiment. Do not requisition it from the sanitarium stores. I don't have the time to deal with the head warden's inevitable questions. Kaidman Azo. Nope, I'm not trying to lock you in your own room. My bad, dude. I wouldn't mind being better armed, so what if it makes the clients a little nervous? Can I go in here? It's locked. Okay, so that's a no. Yeah. The edges of the cage are dented and scored with claw marks. Fantastic. Alright. Let's go talk to the warden again. This is not at all going how I thought it would. In here. Totally different. I think that was all. I'll just talk to this guy.
Hail and well met.
I found records that Azo may have been running some questionable experiments. Experiments? Cameron Azo is in charge of patient welfare now. He's not authorized to run any more experiments. I am disappointed in Cademan. I had hoped he would be the one to guide your inquiry. He'll be in his office or in the patient wards. I am granting you immediate access so you can find him. No doubt you will wish to speak to him further on this matter, and I, for one, am curious as to what he might have to say. Tread carefully in the wards. There are a few dangerous cases. I would ask also that you do your best not to agitate the patients. They have enough troubles as it is. I'll try, but I make no promises there. This guy gonna talk to me yet? A bald man with a crooked nose gestures in demonstration over the still body of a patient before a small gathering of interested onlookers. Feeling your gaze, he pauses his discussion. Have you come to sit in? What do you do here? Close as we are to the Glenfithin Wilds, we get a number of Biowak maimings every year. Survivors dealing with complications from exposure. This fellow here has a severe case. His essence is a mere whisper of what it was. I am early in my research, only beginning to understand how they work. But in time, I hope to find a way to protect people from the storm's effects. Okay. This is all part of the main quest, so I almost want to pause and not go down there yet. What am I doing? Not you. You. Yeah, I won't go down there yet, not until I've taken a rest. Restored some spell slots. I also don't necessarily want to go into House Dominel yet either, so let's finish up some of these other side quests. First things first. First fires. Let's go drop off that breastplate to Ostrich, if I can find him. Although he might be in the catacombs, now that I think about it.
Right fetching feathers, lass.
Repeat, please, in Adiran. And stand closer so I can grab your neck if you said what I think you did.
That was Isilmir. She likes your feathers.
Thanks, but I'm not interested, Isilmir.
Yeah, I'm guessing right now. I don't remember where Ostrich is. Should talk to Cleaver anyways, though. I know where Ostrich is. He's in Copper Lane. Yeah, okay. So you want nothing to do with that. Out of the way. Alright, so a bunch of these are in Copper Lane. I might as well start over here. And handsome boys.
Of all the things I've gotten used to, food was the hardest adjustment.
Venison sauce.
And they burn out all the flavor. Nothing like a raw deer flank.
I don't know about raw, but I definitely prefer my meat blue. Oh, not there yet. Pretty sure this is where I want to be. I may have totally overshot. Not winning. Ah, yes. Is this the armor you wanted? Ostrich wavers a moment in disbelief. He looks at you, then back at the breastplate. He reaches for it slowly, as if expecting it to disappear before he can touch it. How did you manage this? You were right about the affidavit. Unfortunately, Penhelm forced me into a fight. A shame it ended like that, but he's the lying weasel who started this. You did all I asked, and you are owed much. He withdraws a leather coin purse from his pocket and hands it to you. Stop by Sunild's shop on the other side of the hall. She sells some of the best gear in the city, and I'll see that she opens her inventory to you. What is this armor to you, anyway? Ostrich looks around, trying to appear casual. It's nothing really. Just a keepsake. He tries to look you in the eye, but when he does, he appears to reconsider. He sighs. It commemorates the Order of Magran, highest order of valor, awarded to the dead, never the living. Us Deerwoodens, real Deerwoodens, we don't have nobility or birthrights, unless you're some copper fucker from a deer. All we got's the honor we bring to our family name. Ah! Copperfucker. There's a new one. So this, he pauses, considering the weathered metal, a pale image of its former self, but still catching the light, is something to live up to. You know what? That's fair. You may be part of the dozens, but I can respect that. I also don't necessarily think that all of the dozens are bad, just the ones that I've met so far. So the wilds haven't claimed you yet, she smiles. Good to see you again. Show me your wares. First things first. Wait. No, he has the door. I have not looked into that one yet, so I'll stop. Alright, what do you got? A bunch of exceptional things. Bracers of all-consuming rage. Might and constitution. Hand slot, that's pretty good. Resolve. Oh, intellect -1. Yuck. Yak. Yuck. Resolve and constitution. Corrosive cloud. Summon noble creature. Will +5, reflex 9. That's actually really damn good. Whisper of treason and will 12. That's great for a helmet. Damn. Rage bonus. I don't have any barbarians. And then there won't be anything. Yeah. Okay, so let's go with... How much do I got? 11? I could buy that ring. Not these rings, the other ring. I do want that. Might is strength, right? Like damage dealt? Combat attributes both damage and healing, as well as fortitude. What do you got? Crit multiplier? Yeah, so I kind of want to give that to... Ooh, might be good for you. Yeah, let's give those to you. I was thinking Ader at first, but...
I do have something
for work.
You don't mind stepping on the toes of
Cool.
the Crucible Knights. Come to think of it, the Dominels won't be too pleased either. They've never liked seeing someone with nicer things than them.
Yep, not ready yet. He looks you up and down and grunts. If you decide you're ready to get your hands dirty with a real expedition, you know where to find me. Alright, so that was the entrance to them. I'm certainly not working with the Dominels. I don't care if I piss them off, but really it's a toss-up between the Dozens and the Crucible Knights, both of which have their flaws. But I am leaning on the Crucible Knights so far, based on my interactions with both. Alright, that's back there. Holy crap. That's somewhere else. Helig. And then I guess I could stop up there while I'm here. I almost don't even want to go confront Helig without resting first, so I might pop over to Ondra's gift and do the lighthouse before that. 'Cause I know that's going to end in a fight, whereas the lighthouse might, but it might not. Let's see how this goes first. Ah, hey, Salam Onki. Haven't decided yet. I've kind of just rambled to myself about it a little bit, but leaning on, I don't know, Crucible Knights maybe? What do you think? Have you played this before?
Welcome.
A Grimda's permission. Okay. That was you?
Greetings.
You. An animancer named Nadine asked me to retrieve the theorems of Pangram from the Elder Archives. Her impressive frown deepens. Thank you for letting me know. I'll be sure to tuck that tomb away from prying eyes, and see that this Needin never sets foot in here again. Oh, crap, I didn't want to do that. Oh, I was hoping that she'd let me in. In the meantime, here, a token of our whoops. Well. Okay. Yeah, I beat it like a couple weeks ago. I sided with the Dominels. Oh, go figure. Yeah, I'm kind of role playing more like a Davos-esque character. I mean, he's named Davos even, so I haven't quite decided who to go with, but it won't be them. Not that I'm opposed to evil run-throughs. It's just this ain't it. I want to pick the lock, but I'm afraid of pissing everyone off in here. Shoot, I didn't want to. I'll come back to this. I feel bad for ratting out that lady.
Hey, Olaf, can I, talk to your, your friend?
What is it about Isilmir? I'm right here, you know.
No, you're both great. It's just, well, I feel like I don't get to spend as much time with her, and she's just so funny. I mean, some of the things she says
Are not nearly as funny when you've been hearing them for 50 years.
I did not take Aloth for being that old. Is it Ondra's? Is that where I'm trying to go to? Yes. Lighthouse is in Ondra's. There we go. Have you started playing the second game yet? I'm curious how they tie together.
Gods keep you.
You'll never guess what happened, Nia points to the lighthouse. I was keeping an eye out for you, and who strolls down the dock but Merewith herself? You should have seen the stares she got. But she walks right into the lighthouse, never a word to anyone. And just when I'm sure she's met some awful fate in there, she strolls right out, still saying nothing to nobody. Now I'm hearing all sorts of rumors about Merewith and the last lighthouse keeper. She shakes her head. I don't know what to believe, but everyone else around here is convinced that the place is safe again. I've even got a construction crew ready to start with. Nice. She takes a deep breath, a big contented smile on her face. And I know I've got you to thank. Here, this is for you. Come back when the renovations are done. I've got big plans for this place. Okay, that went a lot better than I thought it would. Nah, I played on Path of the Damned. I need a bit of a break before I tackle the second one. Oh, damn. Is that like the, like expert mode or whatever it... I want to see what happens as well, because I made some horrible choices. That's fair. Par for the course for a game like this. Oh, there's like a whole bunch of new... Dang. This is totally changed. Cool. Those are very quick renovations. How do you like what I've done with the place? Considering you snapped your fingers and fixed it all. Pretty damn impressive. She dusts her hands on her clothing. The rooms are still under construction, but I can get you food and drinks if you'd like. The usual stuff. Oops. I still have to look at my inventory and see if anyone can actually use this. No. No. Definitely not. Definitely not. Nope. Alright, so I will sell that next time I find a shop. Those lost in the flood. I went through this list. Wait, did I? Yes, I did.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
So funny that they have these people working around all over the place over here. But the downstairs was just instantly fixed. I haven't finished exploring up here. So let's see what I can find. Lilith's Strawl. Ooh. Hmm. 3 perception is nice. This cloak feels so light that it's easy to forget you're wearing it. The unmistakable scent of the sea breeze, cool and salty, wafts from the fabric. Though moth-eaten and ragged around the edges, it keeps the chill at bay. Its faded colors seem to blend in with its surroundings. Alright. I may... What do you have again? All the defensive ones. Crap. That's a really tough call for him. Accuracy, reflex. Okay. I haven't been attacked too hard in a while, so I'll let it go for now. And we'll see what happens. Kind of want to give this to Aloth, because he has a tendency to get attacked for no reason. But that's not going to help his deflection. Let's do that. Reflex 5, healing bonus. No one... Let's give that to you, and we'll sell that.
Margaret's fire casts light in dark places.
Thank you. You sure do. You better keep at it. That's it. Probably could have collected those last time I was here. But I was afraid of pissing off the spirit. Yeah, I don't know enough about these games to risk Path of the Damned yet. That's ballsy. I do have the mode on that if I like single save, whatever it's called, and I'm nervous enough about that, so I'm not taking any frickin' risks unless I'm positive that I can escape. Had a couple of close calls already. Alright, I guess we're going to Copper Lane. I'm going to take a rest and then head down into the sewers. I have a feeling I'm going to end up fighting with Helig, and he's going to be tough. Where am I? You need to relax today, Cone. Why you keep barking at nothing? Here he goes. Gonna get some barks.
Well met, friend.
Your room, please. Yep, there he goes. I don't know what he's barking at. No one's here. You good there, Cone? How much time do I got? Oh, it's 2:30 already. Damn, okay. I'll be getting off in about 30 minutes at the most. What the well holds. A few miles north of Kindle Vale is a tiny village called Whitereath. So small that it's often missed on maps and tax records, the village has little contact with the rest of the Deerwood. Despite its tiny size, the village has a long history dating back to its use as a Glanfathan tribal camp over 3 centuries ago. One of the most prominent features of the community is a deep well, the top of which is made from Engwithan Adra. Though not of any religious significance to the Glanfathans, all who see it agree that the well is truly ancient. In recent years, locals have reported strange sounds from within the well. Some describe it as animal sounds, others as odd speaking in a foreign tongue. No one has dared venture into the well, but villagers are becoming nervous about drawing water from it. Though the community has made modest resources at their disposal, they have reached out to nearby lords for assistance. Kana, you do that. Hi. Hi. 2 days. Okay. Let's head into the catacombs, go deal with Helig. I know. So hard being you, I know. Hey, handsome man. Pups. All right. Did you find my grimoire? I open Modred's chest, if that's what you mean. He places his hands on the table and leans forward. Tell me everything. The look on his face, the sound of his screams. He closes his eyes and clasps his gnarled hands together. I want to bask in every glorious detail. That wasn't part of our agreement. Where's your sense of humor? His shoulders shake with mirth. At least you've given me a good laugh. And now for your reward. He removes his amulet and hands it to you. You asked for Rowena, and here she is. Small enough to carry with you. He chuckles again. She was a formidable warrior, and now her soul is a formidable talisman. It served me well all these years, but I have moved on to bigger and better things. He waves a hand at the texts and runes on his table. Now, like so many things, it passes to the next generation. Use it as you see fit, or give it to that miserable old sap Dalton. He shrugs his bony shoulders and returns to his work. Steelyx. Come on, man. There we go. Whatever you decide, our business is ended. Soul prowls within the bloodstone like a caged Stelgare. It's filled with a fierce, restless energy. Who are you? You see an image in your mind of a woman in a heavy leather bearing twin daggers. Next to her is a man, young and handsome, who calls her Rowena. The vision shifts to a windswept plain next to a lake. 50 men and women in matching leathers lay dead, their bodies contorted and deformed by some sinister sorcery. Rowena falls among them, her body collapsing next to the young man you saw earlier. She's too weak to speak, but the name Dalton appears in your mind. A lone figure strides across the battlefield, barely bothering to step over the corpses. His eyes are filled with an unnatural light and fixed on Rowena. He reaches out to her, and what little life remained in her body departs. When he takes the amulet from around her neck, you feel her anguished soul trapped within it. With a final, contemptuous glance at the fallen Dalton, the man departs. Dalton sent me to find you. The soul pulses with warmth. It fills your mind with memories of a young man who's both bold and generous. But fury and despair gnaw those images away until all you can feel are cold, crimson walls pressing against you and something loathsome feeding off of you as the years fade into decades. What do you want? You see an image of the amulet shattering, and the soul inside rising and dissipating among the stars. Oh, not you. You. Do I have to just straight up murder him at this point? Like, this guy's an evil... I don't know how strong revenants are. Oh, man. Revenant is usually a powerful... I don't know, man. Decisions. The chest gag wasn't funny at all. No, it was not. That was horrible. I thought that this guy would attack you either way. Weird that he'd let me off. Yeah, same. Part of me wants to just murder him, because I know... I know how bad it is to just let him go, but Revenants, that name scares the crap out of me. What are those creatures? Just a few personal projects, sorry souls stuck in their mortal shells. Their flesh is as dead as mine, though their minds are not as well maintained. They flock to me like worms to drakes. They're not half as intelligent, but they serve for amusement. Plus, he's already dead. Tough one, man. I think I gotta play it safe for now. Come back here when I'm a little bit more powerful and can guarantee that I'm gonna win. He'll be on my to-do list. Oh, I gotta fix my camera. I'm just realizing that's pointing way too far up. Whoa. Cendric, a red-faced young man approaches you. He appears livid and stammers as he speaks. You killed my beloved. This will not stand. It is possible, but what are you talking about? The man's face darkens and he snarls. Dana and I were to be wed. You will pay for your insolence. Dana, that was that Domino woman, I think. So, alright. Guy just got shredded. Alright. Half of them exploded. That is pretty solid. I will look at that for... what's her name? Pelagina. Always do that. No. There you are, Dalton. Did you find her? Since I found it, I'm keeping it. Let's show him the amulet. Yes, but not as you expected. The old man studies the amulet. Rowena used to wear this. Where did you get it? From Helig, who's kept her soul trapped inside of it for decades. It's time to set her free. Dalton's eyes widen in horror. No, please! After searching for her for so long, he gazes at the amulet. Just to have her close to me, to visit her in my dreams, that would be enough. Enough for you, but what about her? If you'd keep her trapped in this amulet for the sake of your own comfort, you're no better than the wizard who imprisoned her. Dalton's expression withers. You're right. Please, let me do it. He draws a club with a trembling hand and crushes the amulet. As the gem cracks, you feel the essence rush from it. The old man looks at the shattered gemstone. Thank you for showing me reason. Perhaps she'll wait for me in the next life. He looks at his hands, shaking. By the flame, she won't have to wait long. Please, take this. He hands you the club. It's from my old adventuring days. I think it's time I finally let them go. Accurate. Fine. Vicious. Alright, definitely not for him, because draining is important. Maybe? I think I'm just going to give that to her for now. No one else is going to use it. Although, do I need draining on both of my weapons? Also, hello. Plus 15% damage, so it already has that. Just give it plus 4 accuracy. It's not a bad idea, though. Yeah, why not? What else do I got? 20 minutes left before I have to go. Let me check out my quests, see what I got here. That's after I go to... Alright, Valian Embassy. That's after I go to House Dominel. That's somewhere else. That's somewhere else. Beneath Kid Noah. That's somewhere else. That's ongoing. Just another reason I have to go to the Elder Archive. That's somewhere else. That's the bottom of that other place. Okay, so either way, I'm going to Brackenbury. Oops, that's not an exit. Good boy. So the question is, do I go to House Dominel to try and knock out some more side quests, or do I continue with the main quest at the bottom of the sanitarium? Let's go to Dominel first. Ark of the Gath. You see a rocky clearing overgrown with weeds. A crumbling wall cuts through on one side, and the trees reach toward each other overhead, blocking much of the light that would otherwise illuminate the body lying near the wall. The body belongs to an elf, face down in the dirt. His clothes are torn and ragged. Large bruises seem to cover him, and there are cuts, abrasions, and lacerations everywhere skin is exposed to the air. The elf twitches, a muffled cry escaping his lips, blowing dust around his head. He begins to moan, his hands scrabbling against the ground, fending off something you are unable to see. His breath comes faster and faster until he is almost hyperventilating. With one final sound, a swallowed scream, his eyes fly open. In an instant he is on his feet, crouching eyes wildly looking around. His breathing doesn't slow, and every exhalation is a groan. With one last look over his shoulder, the elf runs into the embrace of the crumbling wall's shadow, all but disappearing into the gloom. Looking down at his present condition, he murmurs, "I don't see how someone who so clearly screws his own livestock can be so sensitive about it. What the It's not the ending that I anticipated there.
Hello.
The burly guard eyes you warily. "I don't recognize you. What business do you have with House Dominel?" "I need to speak with Bracanta." "If you say so. She's up the stairs in the room at the end of the hall. Mind your manners." I'm amazed that guy's just gonna let me in.
We'll keep to ourselves.
Considering I've killed, like, a decent chunk of their people already. The wine rack contains wide selections of vintages from all over Eora, all of them very, very expensive. The table is set with silver-rimmed plates and golden candlesticks. Clearly, crime pays well. The knives are warm from the heat of the oven. They look absurdly sharp.
Keeping an eye out.
Thanks for your milk. These yellow name-plated NPCs are backers that got to write their own mini-stories. Really? That's where that comes from. That's cool. I found in the the catacombs, all like the wall plates that had the you know, memorials, and kind of figured that's what that was, but I didn't realize that the souls that you could read were also written by backers. That's fascinating. It's a really cool... Whoa, jeez. Okay, apparently I can open chests without them getting triggered. That's good to know. It's a really cool way to like honor the people that are supporting your game, you know? I was saying the other day, talking to someone about I always blank on the name. The pirate game, you get in a boat and sail around, and Sea of Thieves. They do something similar. A lot of like their alpha testers and people that have supported the studio over the years, a lot of the bounties are crafted after people, you know, that they know. The coverlet feels like imported Adira silk. The perceptive use of color in this panorama is overshadowed by the oversized signature along the bottom, Abracan Dominel. While this landscape shows promise, the brushwork is obviously hurried. The artist seems to have spent more time on his signature, A. Dominel, than anything else. Alright, I'm getting the message. Sure. The many pillows are fluffy and full with down. Whoever sleeps here must sleep soundly indeed. I can probably steal this. Yep. Maybe. The red's not going away. There it is.
Finished.
Fine robe. That might be good for someone. Alright. Friend, that's Bracanta. Okay. Wait, how do I get into that room? Oh. Oops. It didn't say not to go in there. Shit. Well, this might be the end of this game. Fuck. There was nothing saying that I couldn't go in there. Son of a bitch. Not you, it's you. Oh, shit. Absolutely. Keep doing that. Oh, I know. I know. Oh gosh, Aloth. Always. Always he is the target. It's fine. Holy crap, I cannot believe I survived that. Only lost Aloth so far. I probably just lost out on a whole bunch of story, but what else can I do here? It's not like I can reload a previous save. Man. Holy crap. My bad, guy.
You're not getting through me.
I've got it. Finished.
You're not getting through me.
Cool, 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 cool. Your soldiers are not fully armed or even decently... You know what? I need to figure this out. I can't stop in the middle of all of this. I will put that there for future reading. Names fill the scroll from top to bottom. Next to each is a payment amount. Okay. Take that. I will... Only 30%. Oh, it's exceptional. Hell yeah! Those are really good. Holy jeez. I will take a look at that too, now that I know that it's exceptional. Oh boy. Sure. Alright, who uses... Alright, not for you. You would lose some health, but you would do a lot more damage. What's reliable again? Graze is converted to hits. I'm going to argue that that one would be better. Honestly. Drop some health, but I never really worry about his health anyways, so I'm done with that now. Okay. Minus 30, 10. Let's go into her if no one else. Nope, going to you. Hell yeah. Fine scale 35-9. Alright. What's this now? Fine robe. 515. And then Aloth, my guy. Can you learn anything from this? No, you cannot. So let's get rid of it. Alrighty. Absolutely fair. She's gonna want to kill me. Yep. I didn't mean to kill whoever that was. I promise. happened. We're here now, but it wasn't my intention.
Steady does it.
Fine is fine. Okay, let's see who else I can kill here. Jeez. This is not how I expected this to go. Jeez. That guy just blew up.
Finished.
Ooh. Time is it? I got 6 minutes. Yep. I want to know why these guys are suddenly exploding. This is great. Clearly doing something right.
Leave it to me!
Finished.
There we go. Come on, everyone back off for a second. Let him get a little closer. There you go.
Good job.
Heal up. Why? Why Aloud? Always. Man, even the servants are attacking me. I do feel bad about that.
Leave it to me! Varathis!
Got it. Finished.
You're not getting through me.
Ooh. That'll be helpful. There we go.
Can't move now.
Leave it to me!
Alright. Now that the Dominels are successfully all dead. Jeez. Oh my gosh. Hopefully that didn't piss off like the rest of the city. That would just suck. Guess we're gonna find out.
Your own father sold you to the Brotherhood?
Nope.
He hated me anyway. I was glad to be gone. The Dukes are my parents now. The Republics, my children.
That's an interesting way of looking at it.
I have lost reputation with House Dominel. Good. Oh, hilarious. Oh my gosh, I'm not trying to go that direction. I don't know what's happening here. Thank you, Ondra's gift. That was insane. Alright, I'm going to call it there, though. I gotta get going. I gotta go drop this one off. I'll pop. Yeah. Alright. So, thank you everyone for watching. You could give me a follow if you like what you saw. And I will catch you all next time, which will probably be tomorrow. A little in the afternoon tomorrow.